When it comes to shooting portraits, posing is one of the most intimidating things to conquer, especially when it comes to posing guys. And us guys know even less about how to pose to look good because most of us weren't raised doing this. We just haven't had as much practice. Today, we're going over how to pose guys, and especially guys who are not models. I'll go over 3 posing tips that build on one another, along with a couple of problem areas to watch out for while you're shooting. So first, this is my buddy Luis. He is not a model. So my first goal is to make him feel comfortable and confident in front of the camera. If we start out the session by trying to get some complex pose or doing something that's unnatural for him, he's gonna feel weird. And I've learned something over the years. People, they don't like to feel weird. So how do we make him feel comfortable and natural in front of the camera? Well, to illustrate that, let me tell you a little story. The year was 1999. Ricky Martin was living life crazy. Y2K was probably a bigger deal than it needed to be. And me and my 10-year-old friends were spending all of our free time here. Until one day, when I got a call. A call that would revolutionize how I viewed modeling forever. I had landed the cover of the 1999 GT Bikes catalog. Boom! Check me out. Yeah, zoom in a little. Yeah, right there. Oh, and there. Dollar bills, y'all. Yeah, literally like $2. I gotta keep the shirt I was wearing. It was a men's extra large. I was 10 and in decent shape. Now, while this experience was not all that my mind had cracked it up to be, it did teach me my first tip, which is to give your model an action to perform or a role to play. For me, it was riding a bike, which I knew how to do pretty well back then. For Luis, I told him to walk down the alley and to walk across the street. For your model, it's best to give them something that keeps the movement going and something that's familiar to them. This not only gives him something to do, but also something else to focus on besides you, which will help calm the nerves and keep the photos more natural. Also, you can give him a role to play. Sometimes I tell him to pretend he's a businessman on the way to a big meeting or on his way to meet up with a friend for coffee. But overall, I'll give him something that's easy for him to, get into character and something that he's familiar with. Okay, once me and my subject are warmed up, then I worry about specific poses. And tip number 2, which is to make sure your model has good posture. Women tend to look best in soft poses, ones that promote delicacy and curved lines, but guys, on the other hand, look great in strong poses, ones that showcase strength and sharp lines. Think strong jawline, big chest, big arms. So how do we get strong poses for guys? Well, we have to know one thing about how our cameras capture photos. Whatever's closest to the camera is going to seem larger, and things that are further away from the camera are gonna seem smaller. Thanks, Taylor. That's super helpful. I know, but we can use this to our advantage to emphasize the things we want while minimizing the things we don't want. Most guys want a Dorito body. Not like the kind you get from eating only Doritos or smelling like nacho cheese. Okay, maybe that's a bad analogy. Triangle. Triangle. Most guys want a triangle body. Large square shoulders and chest and a small waist. The best way to get this without spending extra time in the gym is by having good posture. So shoulders back, chest forward, and a little lean from the waist towards the camera. I'll often have guys angle their legs away from my camera and then rotate their shoulders back to square up to the lens. This further emphasizes that small waist and triangle shape. From here, it's easy to get stuck, so the next thing I tell my model, and tip number 3, is to keep the movement going. And don't be afraid to interact with clothing, accessories, or the environment, something he would do in natural, everyday life. If you look at professional models, they continually move from pose to pose, which keeps things interesting and will help so they don't get stuck in a pose. Normal people are used to posing for photos and waiting until they're taken to move again. So by telling him to continue moving, it helps keep the shoot going and helps me get interesting shots. Okay, now that we're up and rolling, in the back of my head, I've got a few potential problem areas and things to watch out for. The first is dead hands. I'll tell my model to make sure that his hands always have a purpose. They can be in a pocket, adjusting a sleeve, pulling on a piece of clothing, or anything in between, but they always have to be doing something, not just down at his sides like a zombie. This helps the photos look and feel more natural and less staged. The second problem area to watch out for is a double chin. As guys, we look best with sharp, chiseled jawlines, so it's kind of the opposite of a double chin. In fact, nobody really looks good with a double chin. See? No good. If I see that happening, I'll tell my model to bring his ears forward towards my camera. And if he feels like a turtle poking his head out of his shell, he's doing it right. This will help stretch out the neck and get rid of that double chin while still looking normal to the camera. This is also a great hack to help slim the neck of anybody. Third, I'll watch out for straight legs squared to the camera. Again, for guys, we want sharp, straight angles, but keeping one leg bent or legs facing at an angle from the camera will help keep that triangle shape and slimming look to all the photos. So if my model is facing me, I'll make sure that he's either walking or has some sort of bend to his knee. These tips have helped me get great, natural looking photos of normal, everyday guys, while making the shoot fun and easy for everybody. Also, understanding the principles of posing have helped me not get stuck in just a few go-to poses, but let me experiment and find out what is most natural for my subjects, while still looking their best in front of camera. Hopefully these tips help you confidently go out there and get some awesome looking photos. And if you want to know how to get super sharp images every time from any camera, watch this video. Otherwise, go out there, have some fun shooting, and I'll see you in the next one. It's really hard to close your mouth like this. Do I look attractive?